Hi guys, welcome back to the Midnight Story. I, Kiara Sherelle, will be reading you a bedtime story, and tonight we are continuing James Patterson's The Sundays at Tiffany's. I am not feeling good today, I'm not gonna lie. I did want to record and get another video out for you guys so we can get this book finished so I can move on to whatever's going to be next. But yes, just bear with me, please, because I actually really don't feel well. So you know the drill, guys. Get comfortable, dim the lights, close your eyes, and get ready to go to bed. Okay? So we are... Did I not? Oh, okay. Left off at chapter 35. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Okay, and also comment something you might want to listen to next, because I have not picked out the next book I'm going to read once I finish this one. Chapter 35. If I eat this entire ice cream sundae, A, it will be all your fault, not mine, and B, I will not be able to get into the clothes for my shoot tomorrow morning, and C, I'll be fired. Michael laughed. The silver lining. Then you'll go back to school full-time, graduate, and become a brilliant teacher even sooner. She took a bite of the ice cream, a big bite, and made a funny face with food in her teeth. The kind that only gorgeous models and small children can make without grossing people out. Actually, maybe only models. Is that what you think I should do? Suddenly, Michael was staring across the room. Earth to Michael, Claire said. Ground control to Major Tom? Michael was still staring and thinking, this can't be happening. Cannot. Must not. For a moment, Michael panicked, then remembered that this was just a coincidence. She couldn't remember him. They never did. They always forgot. That was what made it bearable. He busied himself with his menu, eyes down. Then he felt her standing at his table. Feigning nonchalance, he looked up. Her blue eyes were huge, her lovely face pale. Michael, she said. He didn't answer her. He couldn't put any appropriate words together yet, or thoughts. Jane spoke again. Not the little girl Jane, the full-grown woman Jane. Michael, it is you, isn't it? Oh my God, Michael, you're here. Chapter 36. My voice had come out shaky and raspy so that I almost didn't recognize myself. I was on the edge of being very, very embarrassed. You are Michael, I asked again, thinking that if somehow I was wrong, I would have to turn and run. He took a deep breath and then he said, You know me? Are you sure? Oh God, this might just be really happening. Of course I know you. I'd know you anywhere. And then he said my name. Just that. Jane? The Astor Court is a large room, but it seemed to be closing in around me. The sound in the room was a little off too. Everything was suddenly unreal, to put it mildly. This couldn't be happening, but clearly it was. The beautiful woman with Michael was wiping her mouth with a napkin, and then she stood up at the table. Ah, the mysterious Jane, she said. But she said it kindly. I have to go, Michael. Thanks for the ice cream and the advice. She gave me a smile, and I blinked because she really was way more dazzling than I. Take my seat, please, Jane. Michael rose now, and I was afraid he was about to leave too. This time, I wouldn't let him leave as I had when I was 9 years old. This time, I would take him down in a flying tackle. Right here in the Astor Court if I had to. Right on to the Oriental. But Michael pointed to the empty chair. Please, said Jane. Jane Margot. I sat, and then he and I stared at each other. It was like meeting someone out of your dreams or fantasies, or a beloved character from a favorite book. How could this be, any of it? There wasn't a logical answer that I could think of. Good thing I had given up on logic when I was 12 and realized I was never going to marry Simon Le Bon. Michael still seemed to be somewhere between 30 and 35. I saw the exact same recognizable pattern of freckles across his nose, his eyebrows, his ears, his hair, and finally his eyes. They were all the same. Those beautiful green eyes, the kindest eyes I'd ever seen. I'd look into those eyes a million times, and I was looking into them now. So incredibly green. The next question couldn't have been any more honest on my part, and it was something I desperately needed to know. Michael, are you imaginary? He looked uncomfortable. I guess that's a matter of opinion. What are you doing here? How can this be happening? He threw up his hands. Honestly, I have no idea. I'm just in New York, waiting for my next assignment. Oh, so that wasn't her? I asked, leaning my head toward the exit. You of all people don't have to ask that, said Michael. You know what I do, and it isn't with grown-ups. He frowned. That didn't come out right. And you just ended up at the Astor Court on a Sunday, and I wound up here too? He shrugged helplessly, looking as bemused as I felt. Looks like it, huh? In a way, it was comforting that he seemed as confused by this as I was. Jane? I couldn't believe it was him, Michael, saying my name. How did you remember me? That isn't supposed to happen. I don't know, I said, feeling a weird sense of calm coming over me. You said I'd forget you, that I'd wake up and not remember you, but the next day I woke up and realized you were really gone. And it was like a safe had fallen onto my chest. I couldn't get out of the bed. I cried for days. And Michael looked at me, appalled. I just never forgot you. I've thought about you every day for 23 years, and now here you are, back again. It's unbelievable, to put it mildly. I'm so sorry, Jane, Michael said. They just always forget. I never would have caused you so much pain if I could have helped it. I looked into his eyes, feeling an eight-year-old sense of hope. Well, I'll think of some way you can make it up to me. My question is, how would he know that they always forget? If you don't see them again, if you literally just leave, you never see them again, you don't see them when they're an adult, how the hell would you know that they forget? Was that gaslighting? Like, to make yourself feel better? Because whoever said that, how would you know? Okay, chapter 37. The next thing I was fully aware of was that Michael and I were walking up Fifth Avenue on a sun-drenched Sunday afternoon, and it was like being awake in a dream. Oh, I don't know what it was like really, but it was incredible and exhilarating and confusing and disorienting. When I was 6 or 7, I had known that Michael was funny and clever and really nice to me. But now, as a woman, as a grown-up, I realized there was so much more to him than that. For one thing, he was a terrific listener, which put him at the head of the pack of everyone I had ever dated. He said, tell me everything that's happened to you since your 9th birthday. So I did, trying to make my life sound ever so much more interesting and exciting than it had been when I was actually living it. I found I loved making him laugh, and he laughed quite a lot during our walk together that afternoon. Once we were out of the streets of New York, he became very loose and relaxed, and so did I. I wonder if y'all can hear that motorcycle. Or car, whatever that was. Anyway, and so did I, more or less, sort of. With a grown-up sense of awareness, I realized that Michael loved life and people. He could see the funny side of just about anything, and he was accepting of it. And not cruel. He could laugh at himself, and he counted himself among the ridiculous. I guess I would have to say that he laughed with people and not at them. So who was she? I asked about the brunette back at the St. Regis. I don't even remember another woman. What other woman? Michael said, smiling. She's just a friend, Jane. Her name is Claire. And she's a friend? Not that kind of friend. Or the other kind either. And what's the red mark on your neck? A vampire bite? I asked. Do I want to hear this? Not that I was jealous of my childhood imaginary friend. God, I guess I had really, really cracked. Well, I guess I was going to run with it. I do a little boxing, he said. Huh? I said, trying to picture it. Well, I myself spar with my mother on a daily basis, so that's another thing we have in common. He threw his head back and I laughed, and the piercing pleasure I got from that was almost painful. This was definitely Michael from my childhood, but now that I was grown up, I could enjoy him in a whole new way. His intelligence, the wit, and his looks, my God. There was even something sexy about his boxing, the bruise on his neck, in a total unmodern, un-PC kind of way. His smile had always been contagious, always filled me with happiness, and it still was and did. Of course, even as my heart pounded with a sense of discovery, I left room for the possibility that he would disappear at any moment, that Michael would suddenly turn to me and say, "You'll forget all about me, Jane. That's the way it works." This is this triggering me for some reason. But it hadn't happened like that. Maybe it wouldn't again, I could hope. "Oh, hey, there's the Met," Michael said. "It's open for another hour." Was it less than 24 hours ago that I had spent one of the worst nights of my life in there? It felt like a year, but right now I was eager to go back because with Michael, anything was possible. Chapter 38. Where should we go first? I asked him when we stood in the massive entry hall of the Met. "I'd like to show you," Michael began, then laughed self-deprecatingly. "I mean, I'm sure you've seen it a million times, but I always wanted to see it with you, okay?" Yes, frankly, at that moment, he could have said, I think I'll eat a bunch of cat food, join me, and I would have said yes. Michael took my arm. It seemed a very natural thing for him to do, but it made me shiver and feel almost lightheaded, in a good way. Except, of course, if I actually did faint, dead away, that would be not so good. Arm in arm, we proceeded up the grand staircase. I loved being with him here, but I was aware that it didn't actually matter where we were because I had to be dreaming, didn't I? We turned left, walked through a large wooden doorway, and then we were standing in one of the most beautiful rooms in the world. Enormous canvases of Monet's water lilies covered the walls, surrounding us, taking us to a different world. I want to go. Why do things this beautiful make me want to cry? I asked Michael as I leaned into him. It was an unguarded question, one I'd never have asked of you. "I don't know," said Michael. "Maybe true beauty is so overwhelming, it goes straight to our hearts. Maybe it makes us feel emotions that are locked away inside." He blinked and gave a bashful smile. "Sorry, I've been watching Oprah again." I smiled back, delighted with this man, who could actually laugh at himself, the exact opposite of Hugh. Not Grant, not Jackman, not in my life anymore. We walked around the spectacular room, filling our eyes with our hearts, not speaking for a few moments. After a while, it seemed that we both knew that it was time to leave. "I'll walk you home," Michael said. "Do you mind?" Do I mind? Of course I didn't mind. "No, that would be great," I said. "It's not far from here, over on Park, in the 70s. "I know," he said. "How do you know that?" I asked, surprised. He paused. "I just know, Jane. You know how I am. I just know certain things." Red flag because you were stalking her. That's how you know. As the afternoon turned into evening, the air got cooler and the sky grew darker. We walked east toward Park Avenue, but Michael didn't hold my arm anymore, and I began to dread saying goodbye. I didn't know if I could bear to. I knew I wouldn't have a choice. On 80th Street, we passed an exquisite building. Through its glass doors, we saw that the lobby was filled with French antiques, the walls covered in gold leaf. In the middle of the lobby was a large, enameled pot holding the largest gardenia bush I'd ever seen. "Oh," I said, "I love gardenias. They're so pretty." "Keep walking," Michael said. "I'll catch up." Nervously praying he wouldn't disappear, I walked slowly, trying not to look back. A few moments later, Michael was back at my side, holding a single white gardenia. Its fragile edges were tinged with the faintest pink, and the scent perfumed the air all around us. "How do you do that?" I asked. "What, get a flower for you? No, be so perfect." I inhaled my gardenia's sweet scent, feeling suddenly close to tears. Not responding, Michael took my arm again, and he felt familiar and warm. We continued down Park Avenue, and I was trying to elongate every second, walking more and more slowly, but we couldn't put off the inevitable, and then we were in front of my apartment building. "Evening, Miss Margot," said Martin. "Oh, an evening, sir." Martin gave Michael a look, almost as if he'd seen him before, but that was impossible. I was dying to ask Michael up, but it seemed too brazen, too presumptuous, too Vivian. The only thing more awkward than the sudden silence between us was the polite handshake we exchanged. But I couldn't let him just fade off into the night. "Michael, I have to ask," I blurted. "I'm sorry, but I have to. Are you going to go away again?" Michael paused, and I felt my head filling with extreme pressure as if my ears might pop. Then Michael took my hand again and smiled kindly. "I'll see you tomorrow, Jane. I miss you already," he said. 39. I had a faint sense that it was morning and that I was waking up, and that something about my life had changed dramatically. Then I remembered Michael, and my eyes opened wide. "Please, God, let it not have been just a dream," I begged silently. Feeling fragile like glass, I slowly turned my head toward my bedside table. There was my white gardenia, the one Michael had given me yesterday. I touched the flower to make sure it was real. It was, and then I sat up and swung my legs over the side of the bed. It hadn't been a dream, so this is how happy feels, I thought. The energy, the automatic smile, this is what it's like to look forward to the day, to believe there could be good things coming. It was a new and different feeling. Out in the kitchen, I poured myself a large glass of orange juice. My answering machine was blinking urgently at me, and I drank my juice and hit the play button before I had a heart attack. "Jane, it's me. What can I say?" "I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. I feel just awful about the car thing in Brooklyn. Call me and erase." "Jane, sweetie, I think it was a tad cavalier of you to skip lunch. I didn't get to give you your kiss, and you know Carl Friedkin is vitally important to erase." "Jane, sweetie, I was thinking about the fourth scene entrance in Thank Heaven. I don't know what Hollywood hack you got to write this screenplay, erase." I didn't bother with the other 9 messages. I just pressed the erase button. I took a shower, letting it run colder than usual. The cold was invigorating, and I felt so alive. Skin tingling, blood pumping. As I dried off, for once, my eyes didn't avoid the full-length mirror. You know, I wasn't half bad. My skin was fresh and rosy. My wet hair was thick and healthy. Was I overweight? Hell no. I was voluptuous with a woman's curves. This is what a woman looks like, I told myself. Okay, confidence. I slipped on pale purple silk panties and walked to the closet, already knowing that I wouldn't be wearing any of my usual black shirts and skirts today. I slipped on my favorite pair of soft, comfy, faded jeans. I pulled on a white blouse that I'd always liked. I hooked on old cowboy belt around my waist. Now I was carefree and happy, comfortable in my own skin for maybe the first time since I was 8 years old. Just before I left the apartment, I held the gardenia to my face and smelled it. Then I slipped on my new diamond ring and headed for the office. Chapter 40. Here are your messages. Here's your coffee. And that jackhammer-like noise is the sound of your mother's high heels coming down the hall. My secretary, Mary Louise, handed me a mug with the History Boys movie logo on it. I had loved the play and the movie, so there was hope for Thank Heaven, right? Thank you. This is delicious. I said, taking a big gulp of coffee. Good, I figured when they kick me out of here, I can go work at Starbucks. Maybe both of us, I muttered. Baristas forever. I began going through the stack of messages. Not surprisingly, the vast majority were from Hugh and his slimy agent and his sleazy business manager. The three of them had managed to generate 11 separate calls. They could kiss my denim-clad butt. I didn't even bother giving you the messages from. The door flew open in the middle of Mary Louise's sentence. Vivian was standing there in full fury. Your mother, and may I present her now? Vivian stood with both hands on her size 2 hips. It took all of my self-control not to say, Are you ready for your close-up, Miss Desmond? First, she gave me my morning kiss, then it started. It's almost noon, Jane. Where the hell have you been? And for God's sake, what are you wearing? Are you going to a rodeo? I continued rifling through the messages. There was nothing from Michael. I asked you a question, Vivian said loudly, leaning on my desk, so as to better get in my face. In a very civil tone, I should add. Have you gotten another Splenda, I asked Mary Louise. She nodded and opened a desk drawer. My mother looked speechless for just a moment, but of course that was too good to last. She got her second wind as I stirred the Splenda into my coffee. Well, I certainly want to hear where you were yesterday and yesterday evening, she said firmly. I called you so many times, I think I broke the redial button. You don't have the common courtesy to return your mother's call? Is your machine broken, or is this some kind of teenage rebellion 20 years too late? At my continuing silence, Vivian changed tacks. I heard about what happened with poor Hugh and Felicia and Ronnie, she said, making it sound like Hiroshima called. They said you bombed them. I don't know what on earth is wrong with you. Do you know how angry they all are? And rightfully so, because you happen to be stubborn and you happen to be wrong. I know show business like you'll never know it, and Hugh McGrath is perfect for that movie role. Without Hugh, there is no movie. Why, thank you, Mother, I said, but she didn't get the Hugh-you confusion thing. I took another gulp of coffee and let the phone messages drop like confetti into the waste paper basket. You're lucky I'm here to do damage control, my mother went on. We're going to have to meet with poor Hugh and his people at lunch. Call Gotham Bar and Grill. We'll meet them down there at 1. If they'll let you into the place dressed like a cowgirl. I drank the last of the coffee. Are you finished, Mother? Her eyes blazed. First, I'm a grown woman. I was out yesterday with a friend. Where we were is absolutely none of your business. No, my machine is not broken, but I was busy. This is not teenage rebellion. Since, as I mentioned, I'm a grown woman. This is me acting like a grown woman. I suggest you join me. Now on to Hugh, not Grant. Not Jackman, in the role in the movie. That discussion is closed. We will never ever talk about it again. Thank heaven is my property. I got the funding. I got the studio involved. And I want someone better than Hugh McGrath. Do you hear me, Mother? I never want to discuss this again. So I'm afraid lunch with Hugh and his minions is out. I won't respond to your critique of my outfit because I decide what I will wear, and I'm not really interested in anyone else's opinion, except Michael's. And you know what, Mother? I think I look great. I know that's right. Vivian gasped at me as if I had sprouted antennae. She sputtered and stammered for a few seconds, then turned around and stormed away, slamming my door first, then the door to her office down the hall. Will that be all? Mary Louise asked. I think that about covers it. And I'm going to end it there. We'll continue on at chapter 41. We're about a little more than halfway done with the book, so it won't be long until we're finished. I am going to try to get videos out consistently, at least once a week. I know I've been having issues with the editing software I'm using and editing it on my phone and getting it uploaded. So I'm trying to find a workaround around that. But other than that, yeah, stay following along. And again, like, subscribe, share, comment, all the things. Oh, and don't forget to check out my guided digital journal that I created that is on Etsy. I will leave a link for you guys. But other than that, I hope you have a good night and see you next time. Bye.